All right, our good friend Bob Trossett joins us just back from South Korea, covering those Olympic Games. NBC Sports Washington, but Bethlehem grad. And here he is back and joins us in studio. Bob, good to see you, man.
Hey, it's great to be back, guys. The roads are a little slick out there, but
yeah,
it was worth coming over to catch up with you guys.
And it's midnight for you.
It feels like midnight. With the 14-hour time difference, it does feel like midnight. So
let's start with the open-ended question. How was the experience of covering the Olympic Games?
I think I'm still coming down off the high in terms of adrenaline. You know, there's just something about being at what you call the pinnacle of sport. You know, there's just so many different stories that go into the games, inspirational and just so you just feel very lucky to be there. And for me, it was my second. And at the age of 23, I just feel I feel lucky. And you know, Team USA obviously didn't come out on top, but there's just so much more to it than that, at least for me. And like I said, I probably won't come down from this for a few weeks, but it's just good to be back. And I think it was a pretty successful games for South Korea.
Biggest moment had to have been Shaun White, right? Let's brag on it a little bit here.
I think Shaun, personally,
yeah. Who cares? He won the gold.
Did the biggest comeback in Winter Olympics history. Who cares, right? Yeah, I think personally and for the network down in DC, that was huge. You know, Shaun obviously took some time right after the medal ceremony. For those listening who might not realize this yet, and I got a 13-second video from him essentially doing a Instagram takeover, which I then exported and used for several other things. And it was a cool moment. You know, he came back from that 62 stitches injury, and I think a lot of people were counting him out. And
he's old. He's old by that
old for Olympics
standard. Right.
How old is he? How old is he?
Early 30s, 32, 3, something like that.
32 or 33.
That is right, yeah.
And when you're going up against a guy like Red Gerard, who's 17,
right? Okay,
maybe you are old, you know. And I think he took this games by storm, and you know it happened in that first week. And I think the only tricky thing was after that happened is like, well, now what? You know, because people were just so fixed by that moment. And you know, I think he himself, in talking to him after the fact and that night of, with all the emotions running, you tend to be candid, right? And he just looked at me and he said, he's looking at the medal. And I was like, were you surprised? Are you surprised? Like, you didn't think you could do this? And I think he was. I think he was a little surprised.
And look, with him in that sport, there's a ton of pressure because he changed that sport. I'm not going to say he created it, but he created such a buzz around it that has spread worldwide now, mainly because of what Shaun White has been. I mean, he's like the Tony Hawk, is he not? I mean, in snowboarding, he's the Tony Hawk to skateboarding.
Yeah. Well, did you hear about him potentially teasing 2020? I mean, there's a chance that he might make a run for skateboarding in Tokyo.
Goodness.
I mean, you're talking about somebody who could go down in sport history if he goes and finds a way to the podium there. But yeah, he just put on a heck of a performance. And look, he's not Michael Phelps. Nobody will ever probably be Michael Phelps again. I mean, that's just untouchable. But it's as close as you can get for the Winter Olympics.
We're talking about Trossett, NBC Sports Washington. What was your day-to-day like?
Yeah, it was.
Is there any downtime? Or are you literally just up in the morning and just going all day?
Yeah, because of my dual role this time around, there wasn't a whole lot of time for sleep. You know, if you think about the work cycle here and the news cycle, with the 14-hour time change, that's essentially when I was supposed to be sleeping, is when the networks here are working. So there would be times where I would just be up at the wee hours funneling content from that day back to Washington. But to get back to your question, I essentially my primary role was there with the Today Show in production. So when I wasn't doing that, because that was from 9 to 11 at night is when Today Show went live, 7 to 9 a.m. here local. So when I wasn't working with the Today Show, I was just churning out content for Washington. So, you know, 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep a night, and you just run on the Olympic adrenaline. You're familiarizing yourself with the area. I don't think people realize how spread out Pyeongchang is. You know, we have the coastal cluster. That's where Today Show was. It's where you have your speed skating, your hockey, your curling, and then you go up to the mountains about 40 minutes up top, and you have your snow sports. So we had to get athletes down from the medal ceremony, which was up at the plaza, up at the top of the mountain, and get them down to the coastal cluster. So it was kind of spread out, a little bit complex, but it made for a lot of driving. But the scenery is unbelievable in South Korea. It's really amazing.
Now, when you're churning this content for NBC Washington, are you doing whatever you want to do, or are you assigned to do something?
Mostly assigned. We talked about it before and kind of came up with a game plan. Luckily, the Washington area has quite a bit of talent in the Winter Olympics. Not as much as the summer, but you take a look at some of the Olympians that ended up doing okay. Alana Myers-Taylor in bobsled, she came home with silver. Haley Skarupa came home with a gold medal in women's hockey. Thomas Hong wasn't able to place, but he's only 20 years old. He's a Maryland student, actually, and he's a speed skater. You look at Mame Baini, first African-American female speed skater. She didn't end up making the podium, but we know that she's going to be around for many years to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to believe she turned 18 during the Olympics or right before.
Yep.
So there's a lot of Washington area Olympians. So to answer your question, I was basically following them and doing daily stand-ups to push out on social. We were talking before. Digital content is so huge. We're doing Facebook Live, Instagram stories, Twitter stand-ups, anything to get the Washington area psyched about these Olympians.
And how was it received in Washington?
I think they liked it. I think I'm hoping I kind of treat it as a tryout. I'm very new to NBC Sports Washington.
You're what, 23, right?
23. It's really special to be here with you guys today because I started as a board op right here when Armin Williams.
Good pipes though, the pipes are there.
Yeah,
Bob.
get the
I'm working on those pipes, and I can remember some long nights with Yankee games right in here. But I think they liked the content. But what also helped is the Olympians doing well. If they didn't do well, it may not have received the same response that it did. So I'm faithful. I'm happy for the Olympians because they opened up a few opportunities.
Anybody, any fan section better in Section 2 than the hooligans?
Just like I told you when I was in South Korea.
Goodness.
These guys they've gone, I think they're at least, at this point, 5-6 years old in the making. And there's sort of a fraternity, sorority type feel that have come with it. It's passed down from generation to generation, and they're a rowdy group, and I think they showed up for...
They were out in full force for that hockey game.
For the men's hockey
7-0 Bethlehem over LaSalle to win the championship there.
A big one, first in school's history.
And then are you going to be in the house this week? You're going to try to get to the AA girls championship game between Colony and Bethlehem.
Yeah, it's a busy day. You got to kind of choose, right? There's men's hockey going on. There's girls basketball. You have Albany going on. I know you guys are going to be present for that one. I'm going to try to get to as many as I possibly can, but big moments for Bethlehem coming up, and you know what? The hooligans have some they deserve a little bit of credit.
Well, we always show them some love, don't we, Chris? When we're out shooting, get the camera over there to get them all wound up. It doesn't take much, and it looks great on TV. We like those cutaways.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Bob. Well, listen, congrats on everything, man. In terms of a young guy and a career, you couldn't have asked for much more. And the thing is, you did well at it, and that will lead to the next opportunity. Yeah. I have no doubt about that.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm going to enjoy it for right now, and once I come back down, it's back to the grindstone. And
you here all week? You off all week?
I'm gonna take the next week off and kind of get back to the Eastern time zone and go to some games. I'm going to go speak at my alma mater at Bethlehem. Really excited to get over there on Monday.
Yeah.
We're supposed to do it today, but I'm glad we could fit this in because we got the snow day outside. And then I'll get back down to D.C. and kind of transition for the NFL draft and see how other ways that I can get involved.
Where's Kirk Cousins going?
Oh, goodness. Does anyone know? Why not Denver, right?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Somebody said, I don't know who was goalie Quingo. Somebody said their prediction is John Elway will figure this out.
Yeah.
And he'll get Kirk Cousins to Denver. I think the Jets are going to make a really strong push with a lot of money.
Yeah.
But Denver may be a better chance to win. But again, you got John Elway there, so maybe that's the lore.
Yep.
So, hi Bobby, good seeing you, man.
Robbie, Chris, thanks so much, guys.
Appreciate you coming in. It's Bob Trossett, NBC Sports Washington, hailing from Bethlehem. Bethlehem grad, a great job covering the Olympic Games.